Hello everyone. Good evening. こんばんは。We're gonna wait a few seconds to see if we have any comments. If everyone can see us, hear us. It looks like we're live. Hello. All right, then I'm gonna start presenting today what we have in our symposium. So this time we're gonna have the 38 English Symposium, and it's gonna be about a holiday across the world. And we actually have 4 tutors with us today. So my name is Denisa. I'm going to host the event. And then we have you can already see them here. We have Jessica, Charlotte, Sarah, and Camila. And to say it by the order, so Jessica is going to present about how to celebrate Chinese New Year in China. And Charlotte is going to talk about some Christmas traditions and their origins. And then we have Sarah, who's going to talk about the New Year celebration in Cameroon. And lastly, we're going to have a presentation about holiday traditions in Bolivia from Camila M. As you all may already see, you have the comment section on the right side of the chat here of the streaming. If you can please comment or ask questions after each presentations, we can talk about it. Or if you have anything to share from your where you live or something that's different, please post a comment and we're going to try to read everything. And yes, so you can also comment in Japanese. Japanese and English is also fine. And we're going to look forward to the presentations. I'm going to talk about it in Japanese now. Alright. はい。じゃあ、日本語に切り替えます。では、皆さんこんばんは。こんにちは。またおはようございます。本日は、ぜひこちらの4名様と、38回目の英語シンポジウムの世界の各地のホリデーシーズンについてを開催したいと思います。で、本日は、配信の担当するデニサと申します。こちらの4人の中、皆様のそれぞれの各地の、トラディションだったりとか、新年の他の今までもしかしたら聞いたことないお話とかをいろいろ聞けるかと思いますので、まずは、ジェシカさんから中国の、旧正月のお祝いの仕方とか、またシャルロット先生はクリスマスの伝統的なお話をたくさんしてくださるの。あとは、サラナム様は、カメルーンの新年のお祝いについての発表。で、最後にカミラ M 先生は、ボリビアの、伝統的な、そうですね、年始のお祝いの仕方について。なので、もしよろしければ、聞きながらでもコメントしたりとか、質問したりとか、今配信のページの右側に、すべて書けるようにはなっておりますので、もしよろしければ、いつでもコメントとか質問とかをしてください。はい。コメントは日本語でも英語でも、こちらで読めますので、いつでもお気軽に書いてください。はい。それでは始めます。Alright, then we're gonna start today with the first tutor with Jessica. If you're ready, we can change to your presentation and you can start having your.
Okay, yes. Okay, my name is Jessica and I'm from China. We will talk about how to celebrate Chinese New Year today and some cultures and customs of Chinese New Year. Chinese New Year is the most important festival in China. Chinese New Year also called the Spring Festival because the New Year usually at the beginning of the spring, and also called Lunar New Year. Chinese New Year also is family reunion. By the way, the red color is a lucky and happy color in China, so you will see lots of red color in this presentation. Okay. So because the Chinese New Year is family reunion, so Chinese people will go home from everywhere as much as possible before the New Year. The family reunion also express good wishes and look forward to the New Year. Before we talk about how to celebrate Chinese New Year, we will talk about a story about this festival. Nian was a terrible animal in the legend. Nian lived at the bottom of the sea, but Nian came out at the bottom of the sea and on the Lunar New Year's Eve. Nian ate livestock and hurt people, but Nian feared the red color, fire, and loud explosion. So people pasted red couplets on the door and play firecrackers. So the Nian scared away. The next day is New Year's Day. People came out and celebrated and congratulated to each other because they passed the Nian. Pass means 过 in Chinese. So Chinese New Year also called 过年 in Chinese. So if you meet Chinese people in the Chinese New Year, you can greet each other with 过年好. 好 means good. 过年好 means Happy New Year. This custom retained nowadays, like playing firecrackers, pasting spring couplets, and celebrations nowadays. Chinese people will do lots of work before the Chinese New Year. They will clean up their house first and buy some stuffs for the festival. They will paste red couplets on the door, also hang up red lanterns in their house. On the Lunar New Year's Eve, people will get together with their family to eat dinner. The dumplings are important food, also traditional food in China, because dumplings is symbol of the happiness and luckiness and reunion. So we usually eat dumplings at this special time. On the New Year's Day, people will play firecrackers and wear new clothes and go out, visit friends or relatives or even neighbors. Children will get some red envelopes as blessings. So Chinese New Year is a happy festival. Everyone is happy in this New Year. People will also have many celebrations and performance like lion dance, dragon dance, and drum playing. So Chinese New Year is a very happy and fun festival. Okay, thanks for listening. 谢谢.
Thank you very much, Jessica, for your presentation.
You're welcome.
There are so many things it's the first time I also heard about them. Let me first see if we have any comments. Of course, if you want to comment between your presentation, that's also fine. Let's see. Oh yeah, here's we have a question from Elfie about what do the red envelope mean? Do they give you actually good luck?
Yes, the red envelope must for the children. This is as blessing and good luck.
Mhm.
Yes, this is good luck.
Oh, I see. That's really nice. Yes. Do you actually put something inside them?
Oh, sorry.
The red envelopes. Do you actually add something? Like, do you put something specific inside before giving them?
Yes. Usually, and some money in the envelope.
Oh, okay, I see. So you actually add some money in. Okay, that's really nice. It's
Yes.
interesting. Really nice. Yes, I see. For now, we don't have any other comments, so I guess we can just Do you guys have any questions for Jessica?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I really thought the story of Nyang was so interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that story before, and it explains about the color red. But I'm just interested
Yeah.
about, do you know why? Why is this animal scared of the color red?
Uh, oh, we just know this animal from the legend. We don't know why the animal is scared. The animal
It's just
scared
part
of
of the
the
story.
red color and loud noise, fire. So people will do this thing to scare the Nyang away.
Mhm. Interesting. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you for asking, Charlotte, and thank you, Jessica, for answering. Okay, then we can move on to the next presentation. So the next person would be Charlotte. If you're ready, we can go to your presentation now.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Denisa and Jessica, for your really interesting presentation. And thank you, everybody, for being here today. I'm so happy to be included in this event. Um, as Denisa already said, my name is Charlotte, and I'm going to be talking about some Christmas traditions and their origins. So I am from the UK. I grew up in London, and the traditions I will be talking about are still used and celebrated in the UK and a lot of Europe today, and have become part of the wider kind of modern Christmas symbolism. But where do they come from? Where does Christmas come from? Probably, I guess you know that Christmas is a celebration that happens in the middle of December. In Britain, Christmas Day is celebrated on the 25th of December. But why? Well, in Christian mythology, it's very clear. You have this story of Jesus, the Son of God, who was born to bring peace to the world. And in the Christian mythology is very clear about where that happened, in a place called Bethlehem, which is in modern day Israel. Very, very far away from Britain. But if you rewind to hundreds or thousands of years before this story came to Europe, then people were celebrating at this time of year. They were celebrating the coming of a new way of being at this time of year. So it's been a special was introduced to Europe. In this presentation, I would like to talk about some traditions. I have 3 here. I think maybe I will only have time to talk about 2, but we'll see. So these are traditions which are still used very commonly in Britain and a lot of Europe today. And I will talk about where they come from. So maybe you are familiar with these pictures, maybe you have no idea what they are. The first one on the left is a wreath, a ring used as decoration made of holly. Holly is a kind of tree. The one in the middle is a food, it's a chocolate cake. chocolate is not really the traditional ingredient because chocolate doesn't grow in Britain. But the shape of the cake is traditional. It's in the shape of a log, also a part of a tree. The final picture with the leaves, the green leaves and the red ribbon, is mistletoe. This is, again, another kind of tree. So maybe just from knowing what these things are, you can start to see a pattern about ancient British mythology. In ancient British mythology, really the most important thing is trees. We have many, many stories about trees, and different trees have different symbols which they are associated with. So before I talk about these specific trees, I just want to introduce the idea of the traditional British calendar. Normally, modern calendars go kind of in a line from January to December. The traditional British calendar is not a line, it's a circle, and it's called the Wheel of the Year. In the Wheel of the Year, in this circle, there are 8 different celebrations. The time of the celebrations is based on the sun. It is a solar calendar. So the days of when the celebrations happen depend on how much light or darkness there is in the day at that time. So as you can see from this picture, on one side is kind of bluey purple color, and this represents the celebrations which are in the dark half of the year. All of these celebrations, these festivals, are during a time when there is more darkness than light. On the other side, we have yellow. This represents the light half of the year. All of these festivals are celebrated when there is more light than darkness. Here's maybe a little bit more simple representation of the Wheel of the Year. So you can see there are 8 lines. The 8 points are the days of the festival. So knowing about the time of Christmas and knowing about the different days that are celebrated in this wheel, can you find which of these celebrations is Christmas? That's right, it's the top one, the winter solstice, the time of the year when there is the most darkness in the day. That's what the solstice means. There are 2 solstices in the year. The summer solstice is the longest day when there is the most light, and the winter solstice is the shortest day when there is the most darkness. Because Britain is quite far north in the world, the change between these 2 days is very clear. And so the ancient people of Britain thought it was really important. The word solstice comes from the Latin language. Sol means sun, and stitium means to stand still. And the idea of this is that if you look at the sun rise from the same place every day, usually every day it looks like the sun is moving to the left or to the right, except on the day of the solstice. On the solstice, the sun looks as if it's rising from exactly the same place for 3 days. And during that time, the association and the symbols are very much about stillness, because it's as if the sun is standing still. And the other associations are about looking inward, reflecting. And then there's also this idea of rebirth, which is connected to the Christian mythology, because after the sun stands still for 3 days, then it starts moving, and then the light begins growing again. So we have the springtime is coming, and it's a celebration of, even though in December, usually it's still very cold, we know that the light is returning. So we're bringing light into the darkness. So I'd like to tell a short story now about the different times of the year. So as I said, in the Wheel of the Year, the traditional calendar, we have the dark half and the light half. And British mythology is very, for British mythology, trees are very important. And there are two trees that are associated with these times. The light half of the year is associated with the oak tree. And in the story, he's the king, the oak king. So the oak is a very tall tree. It can grow very wide. The wood is very strong. So it represents endurance, strength. But the leaves fall in the autumn. So it also represents the ability to adapt. The oak king is the ruler of the light half of the year. All the time when there is more light than darkness in the day is the time when the oak king is the symbol of that time. At the summer solstice, the oak king gets killed by the other king, who is the holly tree. The holly tree is evergreen. It doesn't lose its leaves, and it has bright red berries which become ripe in the middle of winter. So the holly tree is a symbol of beauty in the darkness. And he comes to the oak king and kills him in the middle of summer. And then that's why traditionally in summer we burn fires made out of oak branches. Then in the middle of winter, the oak king comes back and he kills the holly king. On the day of the winter solstice, when there is the most darkness in the day, the oak king comes and kills the holly tree because it's time for the light to return. And that's why we still nowadays hang holly branches in our houses as decorations to celebrate the fact that the holly king is dead. We know that he's going to come back, but at this point he's dead. And we're celebrating the fact that we know that the light is returning. So I'm going to talk really quickly now about the idea of Yule. Maybe you remember that the second picture was a chocolate cake called a Yule log. What is Yule? Yule is the traditional name for Christmas, or this particular time of year, the winter solstice. And the name, the word, comes from the same root as the word for this tree. It looks quite similar to maybe a holly or a pine. It's an evergreen. The leaves are green all year round, and it has red berries. These kind of trees are very important in the winter, and in winter symbolism, they keep coming back, called a yew tree in modern English. And it's a very interesting kind of tree because it has branches, and the branches grow down, and when they reach the earth, they take root. They grow roots from them, and then it just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing, and the roots turn into new trees, and these trees are genetically identical to the old tree. So technically it's kind of like it cannot die. It just keeps growing and growing and growing. Of course you can cut it down, but in a way it doesn't have an end of its life, natural end of its life. So for this reason, the yew tree is associated with birth and rebirth, because the tree grows down and then it's born again. So it's a very strong symbol of this time of year. As I said, we're celebrating the birth of the light in the darkness. And that's why we make cakes in the shape of this Yule log. I think maybe we have time to just really quickly talk about the mistletoe. Maybe you've heard about this tradition of hanging the mistletoe branches. If you have it hanging in your house and you stand underneath it and there's somebody else next to you, the tradition is that you have to kiss them. This is because mistletoe is a symbol of fertility and life, and bringing life into a place where there was no life before. The way that mistletoe grows is not really a tree. It's a kind of parasite. It grows on top of other trees. So here it is growing on top of an oak tree. The oak tree doesn't have any leaves, but the mistletoe does. So the ancient British people looked at it and they thought that is some kind of magic. And it's a very important plant in British mythology. Here it is. I think I will not talk about this tradition because I don't think we have time. So I'm just going to skip this. But yeah, this time of year is, as I said, associated with light, with birth, with people coming together, and also turning inwards and reflecting on what has happened in the past year. So I hope you enjoyed this little presentation. Thank you so much for joining, and happy holidays.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Charlotte. That's really a nice presentation. Yeah, we also have mistletoe. We use it at our home. I actually come from Romania, and we do that every year. But never, like, no one actually asked, like, why do we do that or where the tradition actually comes from. But it's really interesting to talk about it, to hear about it here. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
Let's see. I think we had a comment. Yes. Someone said that the improvisation was really interesting. It's the first time they hear the story. Might be about the trees, I believe.
Yes, it's not really a well-known story in modern British culture, which is why I think it's interesting to talk about it, because we still use these trees and their symbols, but we don't know where they come from most of the time.
Yeah, it was really interesting. And what was the name of the tree that actually looks like the yellow one? The one that would kill on the second solstice, I think. It's kind of interesting. I thought that would happen after the period that would be Christmas, not in between or before that. I think it was before, right? When they changed. The Holy One, yes. Okay, then. Yeah, we can move on. I don't think we have any other comments. So, by the way, if everyone, when you're interested and if you want to hear more of the story, I believe she didn't get to talk about one of the traditions. You can also take a lessons with. Yeah. Oh, I don't think we can hear you well. Okay. So I guess the connection is not really well right now. We can move on to the next presentation, and then if there are other questions, we can talk about it after. So Sarah, if you are ready, we can start with your presentation. Okay. I believe that Sarah's connection is not really well at that moment. If you're okay with it, Camila, can we go ahead with your presentation? Maybe in the meantime, she's going to come back.
Yes, of course.
Oh, thank you very much. Then let's go on with the presentation from Camila about, let me have here, holiday tradition in Bolivia.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining this holiday symposium. I hope you've been enjoying the presentations. My name is Camila and I'm from Bolivia. And I was born and raised there. So I'm gonna share with you a little bit of our traditions. Bolivia is in South America. And the picture you see there is a picture of my city, which is the capital city. It's La Paz. We're going to start talking about Christmas in Spanish. So, our native language in Bolivia is Spanish. It's called La Navidad. So, Actually, in Bolivia and in most of Latin America, we celebrate Christmas on the 24th rather than the 25th. So our celebration takes place the night of the 24th. Families get together to have dinner, and the main dishes are turkey that you can see on the left, and lechon that you can see on the right. And lechon is basically like oven roasted baby pig. And dinner is served at 12 a.m. And at that time is when you toast with your family members, usually with champagne. And then actually that's when the children open the gifts. So they don't wait until the next morning. They wait until 12 a.m. to open the gifts while everyone's having dinner. Then another tradition that we have, Bolivia is mainly a Catholic country, so we have a lot of their traditions. And for Christmas, it's very common for people to build the nativity next to the Christmas tree. So they build basically a representation of like the birth of Jesus. And sometimes they're very big, like even bigger than the tree. And for Christmas, after the toast, people get together and pray. And after praying, that's when you go and eat your dinner. On the left, you can see the traditional representation of the birth of Jesus, and on the right, it's like a Bolivian, like it's also the birth of Jesus, but they're wearing like Bolivian traditional costumes. Okay, so for the New Year's Eve, also it's very common for families to get together and have dinner together. The main dish is picana, which is basically a broth, as you can see on the left. It's a broth that contains like pork meat, chicken meat, cow meat, and lamb. So it's just a mixture of different kinds of meat. And you have some potato, and the broth is really spicy. Our food in general is very spicy. Then you also pray at 12, and then you sing the national anthem with your family or whoever you're celebrating with. And then, of course, you have the fireworks. Now, my overall Bolivia is a very superstitious country, and for the New Year's, we do have some peculiar like superstitions. So this one is very popular not only in Bolivia but in a lot of other countries in Latin America. That's when the clock hits 12, you eat 12 grapes, and for each grape that you eat, each grape represents a month. So you ask for you make a wish. You make 12 wishes, one for each month, basically. And then another tradition is that for New Year's, you buy either red underwear or yellow underwear, and if you get the red underwear, it's because you want love for the new year, and if you get the yellow underwear, it's because you want money for the new year. And then the suitcase, people like grab suitcases, and they go up and down the stairs of their house, and that's to like manifest traveling for the new year as well. And then besides the traditional new year that's celebrated everywhere, we also have the Andean New Year. It's a very native tradition. It goes back to like the ancient civilizations before the colonization took place. And it's called Wilcacuti, which means the return of the sun. And the word is in the Aymara language, which is a native language in Bolivia. the festivity takes place on June 21st, and it's to celebrate the solstice as well. And the ritual is accompanied by aptapi. Aptapi is a tradition back home where like you get together with people and everyone brings a little bit of food and then you put it all together and eat it together. It's like just very community based. And the main celebration takes place in Tiwanaku. Tiwanaku is one of the ancient civilizations from back home. It's you can see it on the right. And then on the left you have like the gateway to the sun, and it's like this sculpture that's meant to receive the sun. So here you can see a little bit of what it looks like. You eat on the ground, so you get all the foods and you eat them on the ground. And people go to Tiwanaku to celebrate this. And then you make offerings to the sun. And here you can see a little bit of the traditionally what people in Bolivia wear. And then to end the presentation, I just wanted to show you some pictures of Bolivia. On the left, you can see again, that's my city, that's La Paz. Because we live in the mountains, our way of transportation is, they're called telefericos. So yeah, you basically travel from mountain peak to mountain peak. And then at the bottom, you can see that's called the Salar de Uyuni, the salt flats. And it's just a desert made out of salt. The picture in the middle is dry season, and the picture to the right is rainy season. So when it rains, you can basically see the sky reflected on the floor. And yeah, I think that would be everything for my presentation. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you very much. It was really interesting. Yeah, do you actually live close to the salt desert there? Or was it the other picture? You said you move around.
Yeah, it's like probably like a 6-hour drive.
Oh, that's close. Yeah, it's really nice. So, can you actually use cars around the city you live? Like you said, usually the mean of transportation would be those small. I'm sorry, I
Yes,
don't
those
remember
are
the name.
faster, but we
Yeah.
like, yes, we do use cars.
Hmm.
Um, but there's some streets that are so um like curved that instead of like sidewalks, you have
Yes.
stairs that you go up.
Oh, that's gonna be a lot of sports every day.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice, really nice. Thank you very much. Sorry, my serious questions. Um, I think we had some comments. Let me check. We had, uh, I think we had one for Charlotte. The other presentation, we can come back to it after. For this one, we have. Oh yeah, there was a question about: do you have fireworks in every city on the New Year's?
Yes, yes. The fireworks take place throughout the country.
Hmm. Thank you. Right. Let's see.
Yeah. Um,
There's
we
another question.
actually,
Yes.
when we were kids, it was always like a challenge to stay up, but
Oh, okay.
kids do it. Like it's something you wait for. You're like counting the minutes. You want it to be 12 so you can open your present. And yeah.
You mean about the Christmas in the 24 when you open the present at 12?
Yes, yes.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Like usually we know it as waiting for the midnight to go to the 25th, like to the
Hmm.
Christmas. So it's really, I think it would be the fastest to open presents, right? All right, then there's another question from Machiko. This is in Japanese. In Japanese, it says, 年越しにぶどうを食べるのはスペインでもあると聞いたことがあります。同じような感じでしょうか? Okay, so the student is asking, they have heard about the eating grapes tradition that is happening in Spain as well, takes place in
Okay.
Spain. Is it kind of the same type of tradition?
Yeah,
Do you
it
know about
probably
it?
comes from Spain actually, because the Spain colonized Bolivia for a very long time. So a lot of our traditions are a mixture of like Spain and a lot of our native traditions.
Nice. Yeah. Thank you very much for answering that. All right. And the other one I think you already talked about on the 21st. Can I just quickly go back to one question for Charlotte? I think there was one about the cake. You had the roll cake there, the yellow one. Someone was asking in Japanese if that would be the same as the bushu do doeru in Japan. I think it might be the same. The Yule log. I'm not sure. Do you know that about it in other traditions?
I don't know about in Japanese, but yeah, it's a traditional Christmas cake. But the as I said, the tradition comes from before Christianity came
Yes.
to Britain.
Yeah, it might be where they got the name in Japanese as well. I think Bishu. I'm not sure how they read it. It would be Bishu do doeru. I think it looks a bit like yeah. All right then. So without further ado, I think we should go on to Sarah. If you think it's all right, Can you hear us now?
I'm back and I am sincerely sorry.
No
My internet
problem.
got finished at the moment I wasn't even
All right
expecting. I'm so sorry.
then. Okay then. Let's go on to your presentation.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much for joining this symposium. It was a delight to be a part of this symposium this year. I have been to several and I just keep learning every time. Thank you so much, Cafe Talk. Today I'll be talking about my country. So I'll give you guys a small picture. I mean, a small because I can't go into details. Otherwise, we would just maybe spend the whole day here. So I'll talk a little bit about how we celebrate our New Year. So many people don't know where Cameroon is. Cameroon is one tiny little country in the large African continent. As you can see, the red color, that's the map and shape of my country. I always describe my country as the armpit of Africa. I hope that's not too gross to say. So we are actually 29 million people. Cameroonians just keep having children and children, large families. So yeah, we don't know what to do with ourselves. I'm joking. All right. So for the regions, each of my country is divided into 10 regions. But there are 3 Muslim regions and 7 other regions that we could call Christians. But later I'll explain more. And concerning the local language or national language, we have English and French. Cameroon is pretty much the only African country, if I'm not exaggerating, that was colonized by Britain and France at the same time. So Cameroonians speak English and French equally, not like one is more than the other. That's why I'm speaking English, because I'm from the English part of Cameroon. All right, quickly, this presentation, I decided to do it in the terms of religion because 99% of people around the world know that Christmas is a Christian holiday. And I felt like it was important to explain how it is done in my country. First, I will talk about Islam, which refers to the Muslims. According to Google research, there are about 20 to 25% of Muslims in Cameroon from the Sunni tribe. I don't know if there are different tribes. And there is also a section called the traditional beliefs, the people who had ancient beliefs many, many years ago that, some gods. I have no information about that because I am not familiar with it. For the Christian part, 70% of Cameroonians identify as Christians, even though we know that they don't go to church and respect all the rules of Christian stuff. However, this is divided into Catholics, Protestant, Presbyterians, and so many churches. There are churches like everywhere in the Christian section of Cameroon. And there is a very small proportion of people who don't believe in anything. So I won't talk much about that. Now, New Year celebration for us is divided into 2 parts. It actually starts on the 31st. 99%, if not all of Muslims on this 31st afternoon, evening period are just chilling in their houses, nothing really happening. Because Muslims have a different period in the year that they celebrate their own New Year. Even though they respect the same calendar like all of us do, and my government respects each religion. So we have holidays when it's Christian for everybody, and when it's a Muslim holiday, it's also for everybody. But now for the non-Christian people, they choose to go to clubs. I mean, from 4, 5, 6 p.m. in the evening, you start seeing people go to clubs and bars. You know what they do in clubs and bars to drink. On the other part, for the Christian population, 99% of people around 9 to 10 p.m. in the evening go to churches. So at this time, they spend the sing and the dance. Most pastors will give a short sermon about the birth of Jesus, and there is a segment called testimony time. This period is a time when many people get to talk about what they think God did for the year. So, for example, someone will say, I built a house this year. Thank God. Those, stories like that. And of course, people also pray. But at midnight, like a few minutes to midnight, breaking the next year, a lot of things change. For the Muslims, 99%, if not all, are already sleeping, and because they don't have any particular celebration. Whereas the non-Christians typically go to the bars. They will sing and dance the whole night, and they will drink. They just keep screaming. Every bar will have the loudest music you can imagine. Noise is not controlled in Cameroon, so if you live beside a bar, you might not sleep that night because the music will be so loud. They still continue dancing in the clubs. Children walk around the streets with firecrackers, and it's just loud. And the funniest part is the part where at midnight, most people would take silver pans or pots, anything that has silver that can make noise, with a silver spoon, and they just keep banging on it and screaming on the streets, Happy New Year, Happy New Year. And yeah, that's how we celebrate. Okay, but on the other part, remember, Christians went to church, they're still at church. So at 11:50, the pastor always does a countdown with the congregation. Everyone starts counting 1, 2, and at 12 at the dot, it's a loud scream. I mean, if you also live beside the church, you might not sleep at that time because it's loud. People screaming, clapping, high-fiving each other, hugging. Hey, we are in the new year. It's a loud celebration. Some churches close at 1, 2, 3, but most will sing and dance again for an extra hour or more. Some people say Africans like to sing and dance. It's true. We sing and dance a lot, especially in church on this 31st night. It's a Thanksgiving time where we say thank you to God. So yeah, it's a little crazy. Now, on the 1st of January, the real 1st of January, many Muslims, like I said, they don't celebrate anything, so they'll just be at their homes. For the few Muslims who live around the Christian section, most of their neighbors will call them to come to their house and eat with them, just for sharing each other's meal. And it is very common for people to cook chicken and rice. As you see on the picture, we like to cook chicken sauce and rice. Very, very common. Of course, many people cook other meals if they have the time, but this is like a common delicacy around the country. Now, for non-religious people, as usual, they are definitely drunk because of yesterday night, and they will be having hangovers. So they tend to sleep right up to maybe the midday or a little later. However, at 6, 99% of them will be out again to pretty much the same bars where they were the day before. If not, they change the bar and they will still do pretty much exactly what they did on the 31st. They will drink again and drink till the 2nd of January. And it's in fact the same culture, noisy. I even cannot give too much details because I have never done it and I don't know if I would ever want to do it. However, on the other side, the Christians, most people wake up early in the morning depending on the church where they went. For me, typically I wake up at 9 because I came back home like 2 or 3 a.m. I'm a Christian, by the way, so I spend my time to rest and make sure that I can catch my breath. And 9, I always wake up, I cook, and of course share with family and friends and neighbors. Sometimes family members visit, and it's just a time to chill at home. Some people go out anyways to restaurants in the evening, but I typically don't go anywhere. Lastly, I just felt the need to mention about children. Many children in Cameroon love to go to amusement parks on these days. Some parents would take their children there also to have fun. We don't have too many of them, like the big, large Disneyland kind of amusement parks. But there are a few of them that have a couple of slides and, place and activities that children can do. So many parents carry their children there. And on the roadsides also in some areas there are some people who come and make games and exercises that children can play, and many children love that. They'll go there and pay a little bit of money, and there's also a lot of food to eat around, snacks, and they eat a lot. However, for children who live around my area, they typically go to the beach. I live beside the Atlantic Ocean, so there is a large, large sea here, and they go and swim and dance. If you go to the beach on that day, there's literally no space. Picnics everywhere, family and friends, groups almost at every corner, eating, laughing, and talking together. And thank you so much. You guys are welcome to Cameroon.
Thank you very much. It was really a really interesting presentation. It really sounds like a fun celebration for the New Year's in your country. And really energetic, I believe. Oh, can you still hear us, Sarah? We actually have a few comments for you, so hopefully the connection stands okay. In the meantime, can you hear us?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, perfect. I think you're back now. We can hear you. We can hear you, Sarah. Can you hear us?
I cannot hear you guys. Hello?
Oh,
Hear my presentation?
so we can hear you. We're gonna try to look for some comments. If you can answer the questions. If not,
Okay.
all right. Do you hear us now? It doesn't look like it seems like Sarah cannot hear us really well right now. Or is it with a lag? If you do hear us, can you answer some of the questions? We had a comment from a student about what kind of music.
I hear
Oh,
you.
perfect. So there's a question about what kind of music do you usually dance on in your country? What kind of music do you usually listen to?
Oh, what kind of music? It depends on the church. Is it in the church or at the bars?
It doesn't specify on the question, but yeah.
Because at the bars they play secular music, Cameroonian music,
Oh,
African music.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay. So I'll be specific on for the non-Christians in the bars, they play secular music from almost any country, actually,
Country
not
music.
specific Cameroonian alone.
Mhm.
But for the church, they play only gospel music.
Yeah.
So any song that has a Christian belief, something like that.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
it can also be from every part of the world, both from Cameroon and US anyway.
That's really nice. Yes, thank you very much for answering the question. Let me see. There's another comment we have here in Japanese. I could just read it to you and translate in English. So another student is saying about that they thought that the celebration and the festivals you have in Cameroon look a bit like in every Africa, and they seem amazing. And they've been commenting about let's see, Cameroon's national team. I think they won a cup in 2002. I'm not sure if you're
Oh,
know more about
yes.
it. Yeah. It was really popular in 2002.
We never won the World Cup, but yes, we have been participating in all of the World Cups.
It's really nice. Yeah, and other comments
Sorry?
about how fun look the
Yeah.
holiday season
We've
in
been
Cameroon is really fun.
participating in the World Cups, but never won.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right, I think there's a bit of a few seconds lag. Sorry for that. I hope you can hear Sarah well. I think we're gonna go to conclude the streaming
I hear
today.
you well.
The people who are watching right now, if you want to ask other questions or maybe hear a bit more about their tradition and also maybe talk in English with tutors that participate today, we also have on this live streaming page, we have some of the popular lessons posted below the streaming, the video that you can see here. We also have, all of them have now lessons for the holiday seasons. So you can also speak and talk about a bit more about the Cameroon festivals or the New Year's Eve, and also the story that Charlotte didn't have time to mention today. Yeah, so if you want, you can also post some comments or send to their tip points here. And please feel free to book lessons with them as well. Yeah, so in the end, if you want to add a comment at the end to say goodbye to everyone, we can go in the same order. Maybe say a bit about your lessons. So, let's see. Jessica, if you want to say a few words before we end the streaming. Okay, I don't think you can hear us.
Okay.
Oh, if you don't have any comments, that's fine. Charlotte, do you have any comments, or if you want to say something about your lessons or what you have any plans afterwards?
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you to all of you. It was so interesting to learn about all these different celebrations, and also really interesting to see that there are similarities between the way we celebrate around the world. In my classes, I have different classes available. I have general English conversation. I also have a British culture class where you can learn more about these stories about ancient British culture, and also I talk about modern British culture as well. I have a degree in peace studies, so I have a class about that as well if you want to learn about peace. And and I also am really interested, as I said, in finding the connections between cultures. And I have classes about that as well, and about looking at stories from cultures around the world and how, even though they're different, they have the same symbols which we can find over and over again. But yeah, thank you so much to everyone and for everyone who joined this symposium. I hope to join again another time.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you. All right. So after Charlotte, if Sarah or Camila, if you want anything to add about yourselves, yes.
I want to just quickly thank everyone for listening to my presentation. And honestly, I was so stressed and nervous because of the internet, but I can definitely go
Okay.
into details if you want to know more about Cameroon. I teach general English and Cameroon culture. However, you can equally ask about Africa as well. I talk a lot about many other African countries.
Mhm.
I've been to several of them. Feel free to contact me and ask me any question. I will be very happy to share what I think and what I know about those countries. And for English as well, I do conversations. In fact, please just check my profile page and choose anything you'll be interested in, and I will be happy to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you. And Camila, sorry to keep you last. Do you have anything to add?
I just want to say thank you to everyone. I hope you found the presentations as interesting as I did. It's always fun to learn about different cultures. It was a very fun symposium, and I hope to be part of the next one. And if anyone is interested in learning more about Bolivia, I feel like these presentations, I mean, you can't fit so much culture from any country into a presentation. So there's so much more to go into and to learn about. So if you want to learn more about Bolivia, I have a lot of conversational classes that you can check. And yeah, just check my profile and see if you're interested in anything. And again, thank you so much. This was really fun.
All right, thank you very much, Camila. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Also, students who joined and left comments. We thank you again. And please don't forget, Cafe Talk right now is still in the awards season. So you can also vote for the tutors that you have lessons with, even the ones that participate today. So please feel free to use the Cafe Talk awards and vote for tutors. And of course, join us on our next events. All right, then. See you again next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.